The federal government and the Ogun State government have been reacting to the investment by a Chinese government that have gone bad and the planned seizure of presidential jet in France. And some cheery news about the Nigerian economy. Inflation rate drops in the month of July to 33.40% from 34.19% in June 2024. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight on Politics Today, China's television. I'm Sean Wakimaloye here in Abuja. Some cheering news that we can bring to you tonight on the program, and it's about the Nigerian economy. From what we understand, coming from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, it states that the inflation, headline inflation, has dropped, and it's dropped from 34.19% from June 2024 now to 33.40% in July 2024. This is coming after several months of rising of headline inflation. The last time we saw a reduction or the drop is about in December of last year. And this has also signaled quite a lot of stress on the Nigerian economy, affecting price of commodity and the standard of living and the purchasing power of the average citizen. All right, so much to talk about tonight. You heard what happened. The planned seizure of presidential jet of Nigeria in France. The federal government has been reacting to that. It's about a relationship that had gone sour between a Chinese company and the Ogun State government. The Ogun State government has come out to say, well, this happened 12 years ago. We tried settlement. There was an arbitration. Things, they were asking for a ridiculous amount of money. This is looking like a P&ID matter yet again about some unscrupulous companies or persons trying to defraud or trying to swindle a government and thereby using the assets of the federal government that is not supposed to be liable in this sense into all of the scheme of things. So we're hearing from the federal government and also from the Ogun State government. But tonight we dissect for you the state of the nation, those issues that have been the fallout of the nationwide end bad governance protest, the state of the Nigerian economy, the oil and gas, and what this means are potent for our nation. Stick with me, everyone, because tonight is going to be yet another engaging conversation on the program. Before we get into all of that, let's check out some of the political roundup stories.
The Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed says he's confident that former President Goodluck Jonathan would excel in a future presidential role, highlighting the significant reforms introduced during Jonathan's tenure. Governor Mohammed was responding to a non-governmental organization's call for him to consider a presidential run in 2027 during the presentation of an award to him as the champion of peace, unity, and development. Governor Mohammed expresses his belief that Jonathan will perform better than the current administration, citing Goodluck Jonathan's experience and inclusive approach. Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State has directed the immediate cancellation of all the All Progressive Congress APC stakeholders meetings scheduled for the 16th of August 2024. Governor Alia gave the directive at a press conference at the Government House in Makurdi, where he knows that he is not aware of such a meeting as the leader of the party.
The organizers of the so-called APC meeting in the state without the knowledge of the leader cannot simply hold. So let it be on the record that that meeting is called off.
The All Progressives Congress has assured the people of Edo State that a vote for the party will translate to progress for the state in every sector. At a campaign rally in Auchi, Edo North Senatorial District, the governorship and deputy governorship candidates, including party leaders, promised to address critical sectors of the state's economy. The party also encouraged its supporters to take the message home as the party continues its campaign ahead of the election. The governorship candidate of the Labour Party in the Ondo governorship election, Mr. Olushola Ebiseni, has refuted claims that he is not the authentic candidate of the party for the November 16, 2024 governorship election. He dismissed the claims during his courtesy visit to the Oba of Akure. Mr. Ebiseni maintains that he is rooted in the Labour Party and has the backing of most party leaders.
Yes, you could hear whatever you wanted to hear from anywhere. It does not distract from the fact that I am the candidate of the Labour Party. I do not want to join issues with people on names.
Amidst the political crisis in Rivers State between the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and his successor, Governor Siminalayi Fubara, the coalition of Rivers State leaders is urging that decisive actions be taken to protect the state. At a media briefing in Port Harcourt, the leader of the group, Mr. Sonny Chukwumele, criticized the assembly faction led by Right Honorable Martins Ameule for attempting to starve the state of funds through the court. The group also condemned what they termed the ongoing efforts by Wike's allies to destabilize the government, including recent utterances by the former interim committee chairman of the APC, Tony Okocha, accusing the governor of sponsoring the anti-bad governance protest, which they described as inflammatory. The leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has faulted the explanations given by the Nigeria Police Force on the reason its personnel ransacked the NLC national headquarters in Abuja, calling for an unreserved apology from the police. Police authorities have said it did not invade the NLC secretariat, but only traced a suspected criminal to the building, which coincidentally houses the organization's office. But addressing journalists at the NLC secretariat in Abuja, the head of communications and corporate affairs, Mr. Benson Upa, described the police allegations of tracing a suspected international criminal to the building as laughable.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Let's give you some updates on the planned seizure or the order of a French court for the seizure of the nation's, Nigeria's presidential jets. The federal government has accused the Chinese company involved, the Zhongshan Fuqing Industrial Company Limited, Investment Company Limited, has been accused of subterfuge after the French court ruled in favor of the firm and granted a seizure of presidential jets belonging to the Nigerian government. The presidential spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, today alleged that the Chinese firm is trying to take over offshore assets of the federal government of Nigeria through subterfuge. In a statement released today, part of which with quotes Bayo Onanuga saying, the case in which Zhongshan is trying to use every unorthodox means to strip offshore asset is between the company and the Ogun State government. It has no solid ground to demand restitution from the Ogun State government based on the facts regarding the 2007 contract between the company and the state government to manage a free trade zone. This arm twisting tactic by the Chinese company is the latest in a long list of failed moves to attach Nigerian government-owned assets in foreign jurisdictions. That's from the presidency, the federal government, but the Ogun State government has also been reacting to these, and there is a long piece in response, trying to backtrack and giving a history of the Chinese company and the Ogun State government. And the Ogun State government today is saying this particular conversation started about 12 years ago with the previous government, an investment that just involved the company building a barbed wire kind of fence as a perimeter fence around the said property. And it looks like a PID kind of matter where some individuals or plan to come into the country with the aim of investing, but then investment gone bad and it's tried to go into arbitration. Let me read some portion of what the Ogun State government has said in this matter to you. The Ogun State government says, quote, shockingly, it also appears to have misled the Judicial Court of Paris as to the use and nature of the asset it seeks to attach and not made full disclosure to the court as required by law. As a portion of the Ogun State government's statement today. The Ogun State government concluded in that statement to say, it is important to know that Ogun State government never gave up on a reasonable settlement option, with the most recent letter sent to Xiangshan last week. Unfortunately, Xiangshan only responded after obtaining this latest order. A reasonable and objectively quantifiable settlement figure has always been our preference and continues to be an option in the resolution of the protracted dispute. This is an investment dispute between Ogun State government and this Chinese government at a matter that has gone into arbitration. Now let's look at the state of the nation holistically. There are a whole lot of lessons to learn, isn't it? For the last days, on the first day of August, there's been a lot of turbulence, isn't it? That has affected, the federal government says Nigeria has lost over 500 billion in investment, or in terms of what could have come out as trade in the country, but due to the nationwide August protest of end bad governance. But tonight, let's take a step backward and learn one or two things about where we got to where we are today, some kind of dialectal narratives that have also come into the conversation. Tonight, I'm being joined by a scholar, Professor Udenta. He joins us live here in Abuja. So it's good to see you again, Prof.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you so much indeed. I appreciate it.
Good.
Let's look at it. A big lesson, isn't it, for the nation, not only for the government, for every individual, for every citizen, and every leader in this country about what happened from the 1st of August. Don't you think?
That's what they call stock taking. You take stock because after a while, if you have a business that you're growing, you find out whether the business is doing well, whether you're doing more of loss or more of gain. What's a balance sheet giving you? Then you will re-strategize as a company. A nation is like a company of a sort. It's a corporate entity with a government in place at the federal and some national levels. So when you find this moment of national rupture occurring, it means that social forces have been unleashed. And this unleashment of forces didn't occur overnight, not even within the Tinubu presidency. It's been there brewing for years, if not decades. But when then
so the
these
Tinubu
forces,
government just walked into the quagmire.
It's actually what I call intensification of the contradictions. Buhari intensified it, and this government is rather heightening it. That intensification of contradictions that will unleash social forces. If you look around, coming here, it was embarrassing that queues are in the filling stations. And petroleum products are not even available. Many are buying at 1,200 on the roadside.
It's actually concerning, isn't it? It's worrisome that the NNPCL is not saying anything about
Absolutely.
it. So it's kept mute.
This is part of the social forces.
What is causing it? We're not hearing, we're not getting any explanation. And I'm not sure the federal government is in fact talking about it.
I'm not expert in that sector, but the point I'm making is that these are indicators that the system is choked up. And when it's choked up, it means that forces are beginning to brew all over the place. So 1st August was one in a series of, for me, a long stretch of eruptions that must be managed for the country to really get its bearing and develop.
So we could see more of agitation.
These things are scientific. When you unleash social forces, if you can't contain hunger, constrain poverty, you can't reduce insecurity, people can't find petroleum product, at cutthroat prices. If they find there's a sense of angst and discontent in the land, and this is not being ameliorated, much more convulsive processes and situations will be unleashed further down the line. So it's a lesson for the government, not just at the national level. It's a lesson for the government, even at the sub-national level.
But it does look like the state government and the local government wanted to shield themselves, or it looked like it was a problem with the federal government, and some of us actually highlighted the fact that government is government at all strata. Every government had to come out to defend the fact that there is hardship, there is hunger in the land. So this is not a Tinubu government alone.
Let me give you an example. The Council of State made the other day and gave a vote of confidence
on the president.
And
his government.
The Council of State, as powerful as that body is, because it's an advisory body made up of a club of former presidents and heads of state and so on, as powerful as that entity is in terms of the people that populate it, it is not their business to give vote of confidence, one way or the other. It's their business to assess the situation in the country and advise the president. Vote of confidence is secure from the people. That's where the mandate derives from, not from the council. So it is on poverty that's going to give vote of confidence when it is reduced. It is going to be hunger that will give you vote of confidence when it is reduced. But only products will give you vote of confidence when it is reduced. And we hope the government is going to work extra hard to get those things done well. I'll give you another example based on the point you raised. The governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, for example, spoke passionately and said, not only the president, but every one of us political leaders should be held accountable for what went wrong. Bauchi indeed put a robust anti-protest mechanism. But on the day, the people erupted and the governor didn't say, oh my God, this picture is not as pretty as we thought. Mr. President, are you hearing it? We at the subnational level, we're feeling the pinch and feeling the heat. Therefore, we need to work extra hard to regain the confidence of the people.
So nobody can talk any longer.
He can't talk.
Yeah, you have to face the reality.
You can talk and say what the state governors
the eruptions is going to catch up with anybody.
See what the state governors are doing. They are rapidly now accelerating the democratization processes at the local government level because of the Supreme Court ruling.
At least 4 or 5 states.
More than that, that means when they have those elected officers, both the chairman and the councillors, they too occupy their own democratic position to say, hello, the people who put you in are watching you. The same way they're watching the governors and watching the president, everybody is going to be under intense scrutiny.
The sky is falling, it's going to fall on anyone.
Everybody said. So the most important thing is not to say PDP or APC or NNPP or Labour Party. It is the business of the political class to ensure there is public order and social stability. But it is the business of the president and his team to organize the political order. And I said in my piece, which is traded everywhere, that the president is operating from the margins and periphery of the political state. That means he must move into the center. In 1990, Obasanjo won decisively and said, I can't even govern alone, even with my victory. I need the two other parties, AD and APP, to come and help rebuild this country already choked down by convulsions. And then he set up the Office of Inter-Party Affairs, appointed the chairman of APP. Then incorporated Uncle Bola Ige, remember very well, as Attorney General. He brought in Adesanya's daughter, brought in Shatta of APP, ultimately Ezife of AD into the cabinet. To give that sense of elite consensus, which is the first step in building national consensus.
So we need a government of national unity.
This government is narrow.
That what we need?
It's narrow. It's not even in the classic sense of government of national unity. He's got a mandate of a sort. That means he could govern the way he likes. But nobody wants to leave office as a president broken and forgotten by history. You need to leave a legacy. The way to do it is to engage, embrace the political class, embrace the political state.
You don't see the president doing any of that now.
I don't know what it is, him or people around him. It is important that he begins to listen to the people and listen to even voice of patriots all over the country. If you look at the coalition that brought him to power in 2023, that coalition is even weakening. If you look at the caste of the people and the geography of that coalition, is weakening. That means he needs to rebuild his political, muscle all over. It happened to Clinton in 1992. He won decisively. By 1994, his presidency had virtually crumbled and collapsed. He had to reinvent it in 1996.
And his party could not even hold, they couldn't retain power.
If
the Republican Bush
took over, absolutely.
So
if you have the president who is operating as if policies will help the day, policies could help if the policies are populist. They're not populist. You can't remove subsidy.
Unfortunately, there are those who believe that, look, our nation needs some very strong policies, albeit very unpopular. That the policies that will take us to the next level will not be popular policies. It will take strong, decisive leaders to be able to make those policies. Unfortunately, it seems that that's what Bola Tinubu is stepping into.
The contradiction there is this. If you want to embrace populist domain, the people, you must, in essence, enunciate policy programs or prescriptions that is going to sit well with them. Whether it works in the short term or long term or mid term, it can then isolate the elite and say, I'm working with the people because that is where my power lies.
Well, anyways, their party's philosophy is welfareist.
But then,
it's the left of the center.
Yeah, sure.
So when we imagine that those policies should be
absolutely
popular,
but then if you don't embrace the elite and alienate them, and the new liberal economic model from the Western world, from Washington and London, is the one driving you. You neither have the elite to compensate for the lack of popular support. You neither have the people because the policies are perceived to be anti-people. That means you're caught in between. You cannot, even if I take a view that you need bold, vigorous, transformative, difficult policies to move a country. If you don't get the politics right, you can't get the economics right. What is tried to do in the past 1 year is to get the economics right, but abandoning the political space and the political state to whoever I don't know. That is why everybody who is part of the contestation of power a year ago are rioting, political riot. I think Abubakar PDP doesn't seem to understand, believe that this government protects the interests of his constituency in power in politics. PWB is all over the place. Kwankwaso did something. You need to bring them and tamp down the rhetoric. It's your job as the president to do so. And people who are around you as handlers must understand that he has to pierce through his scaffold of a narrow terrain of power within the villa to embrace the outer world. That's what I'm coming.
So you need a strong political advisor.
I don't even
that
know.
will stand in the gap.
Remember what happened when the governor of Bauchi State spoke? The message from there, Dogara and the rest of said, "Oh, he's attacking the president." Oh, he's like, no, it is not. Loyal opposition means
I saw your piece
peace
when you talk about the diatribe.
It's important because if you speak as a governor of a state, Bauchi in this instance, they said, my people are hurting, and they're pointing fingers at me. They're pointing fingers at you too. You should construe that as tough love. The governor loves really, the system loves the state to be stable, the state to be cohesive, to be coherent. We're pointing out powerfully that the president and his team need to sit up the way the governors themselves need to sit up too. When we sit up at the national, subnational, and local level, when the people engage with us and we understand their pain and work towards ameliorating their pain, this country will see moments of growth and progress.
Prof, what you're saying in essence is that whatever we saw from the 1st of August is just a child's play. It's just a tip of the iceberg, and that we could see more of agitation if immediate and urgent steps are not taken.
You know what we don't want to? As patriotic forces, myself inclusive, as one of the founding fathers, if I'm not too old to be, if I'm not old enough to be a father, a founding uncles of this republic, we paid our dues from 6-time detention under Abacha. Those national security, one of the leading parties then, conferences upon conferences across the world and here to build infrastructure of democratic governance that many are tearing down. It's our duty to hold this baby firm, no matter how the baby is full of what. As I said, the first one at the political level, convene a meeting of the top leaders of this country, the party chairman of these 4 parties, the National Assembly, NAS, both the minority and majority, the chairman of Governors Forum, National, chairman PDP Governors Forum, bring them together in the conclave, in the villa, shut the door and tell yourself the political truth. No one party can run this country alone. No one faction of the political leader can run this country alone. Inanimate the office of the special advisor inter party affairs. Let it be almost a cabinet level position. Bring an inclusive political person there who understands the terrain and is very easy with you. Easy with Atiku, easy with P2B, easy with Kwankwaso, and filling that gap. Let it be the one to do the legwork. Politics will continue. Contestations will continue. Policy differences will continue, but will be done with amity and sense of conviviality.
But let me bring this. Patriots. The Patriots is a group, of course.
That's a different thing from Nigerian Patriots.
Absolutely, the Nigerian Patriots.
This one is a group.
That's what
I'm part of that group anyway.
Patriots, yes. So, and we've seen the Professor Wabweze
in the past, FRA and so on.
Williams and the likes. But they've gone, led by Emeka Nyoku, a very well-respected Nigerian. And their asking is very also important. A lot of people have debated it.
For a new constitution.
For a new constitution. Birthing a new constitution, do you think that is
at the level of a powerful political or nationalistic rhetoric is a wise call. But unfortunately, there was a closure in 1998 with the death of Abacha and the death of Abiola, who won election, and the coming to power of Salami Abubakar. Abubakar met the leaders of Nadeko and said, go run election. We said, we don't need election. We don't need a constitution. We need a sovereign national conference. We need to restructure this country. He said, my people in the army do not know what you're talking about. They think you want to break up the country, but if you run an election, you win. Run on that premise. We went to form a party, AD. They gave us a constitution. We blindly accepted that constitution, thinking that in the future date, on the determined future date, we could revisit that. But the closure has occurred because the president has been sworn in and parliament have been sworn in. To bring a new constitution, you must therefore do 2 things. Obey the laws of constitutional gravity. That means go to the text of the existing constitution and amend it as specified by it. Or disobey the law. That means destroy the constitutional state. Ujimoro did it in 1992. I will not say in public, on air.
What happened?
He won.
The consequences.
He won and didn't want the constitution. He needed a better constitution. We know what he did. In essence, to have a new constitution is not a call of the president. The president can only persuade. At the end of the day, the parliament must intervene.
But does this parliament look like the kind of parliament?
I'm saying that like, as passionate as the call by the patriots I'm part of, maybe it's rhetorical. Because at the end of the day, there are three ways you can get a new constitution. You must dislodge the existing democratic order by through popular insurrection, displace it from this place and say there's vacuum. And then you now bring in a conference with constitutive powers. 2, you can do what Fujimori did, which I will not say on air. Number 3 is to persuade the president that they're trying to do, that will persuade the parliament and persuade regional communities and nationality groups from ACF, Northern Elders Forum to PANDEF, Afenifere must come together because the senators and reps bear loyalty substantially to them, not just to the parties. If they say no to the president and tear that document called the new constitution and use it as a toilet paper, so be it. To overwhelm it means you must overpower the constitutional state.
Anyway, there are those who will say we've had constitutional conferences in 2005 under Obasanjo. Jonathan did another in 2014.
It was not going to work.
And
this president is, and as I said, with even a weakened power base, which I'm stressing on air for the president to understand, he has a weak political infrastructure he's running with. He needs to rebuild it. He can't even go to him in a state in which the North, apparently political not seem to be rioting. He find that the political East is still not on board. He find that the South seems to be neither here nor there. Okay, you need to have all these people politically on board. That part of presidential power we are projecting. When they're on board, and then the patriots come with the urging for a new constitution, then it is possible that the president can flex his muscle and use his capital.
Yeah, give me a moment. Let's take our first break on the program. But when we return, I'll be getting the closing argument from Professor Udenta on the state of the nation. There's some very strong advisory coming from one man who has perhaps seen it all in this Fourth Republic. And when he speaks sometimes, a whole lot of wisdom comes out of him and experience too. Plus, he's a scholar and he's done a lot of research about the way and the scientific manner in which our nation can politically and diplomatically get out of this quagmire. We'll be right back with Professor Udenta. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Professor Udenta has been speaking, and more of what he's saying tonight is the way forward for Nigeria. It seems to be a political crossroad in this country. Political crossroad, everyone will say, but we have the economic problem. We have a social and social problem. Yeah, but the politics of everything is at the center of our problem. If you get the politics right, we may be on the way into Uhuru. But Prof, how do we get there? What must the president do now?
I've simply, specified in a programmatic manner the steps and procedures. Convene, because his speech didn't contain the broadcast, no proclamation. He didn't make any presidential proclamations, no convening orders, no presidential directives. It's now time, it's not too late. The first convening directive is to engage the political leaders. And I've named them in my piece, which is all about it. Bring in the chairman of the 4 parties, leading parties, the ruling party, PDP, NNPP, and Labour. Bring in their presidential candidates, wherever they are, go find them. Whether they're insulting you, you're the president. Look for them and engage them. Bring in the governors through the chairman, Ghanaian Governors Forum, and chairman, PDP Governor Forum. Within them, they have virtually the entire state, minus Apuga and Labour, one here and there. When you have them, get the leadership of NAS. There should be 8 in the Senate, 8 in the reps. Sit down and work out the procedure of engaging the political state. That makes you may recalibrate your cabinet, recalibrate it. Bring in people from outside, not just the loyalists. Bring in from the civil society. Bring in from opposition parties. It could be tokenism, but it works sometimes in the consensus. Secondly, Office of Inter-Party Affairs. Then civil society is key. Yaradua saw it in 2007. If you don't engage the civic center, they too are distrustful of the political class, including the president and the governors. Bring them. That's why named solid people from the civic world domain, who the president should call and say, we need to have a presidential council on civil society. It's going to mainstream civil society concerns and strategic, vision into governance programming. They need to have another advisor on civic relations.
You mentioned this politically sophisticated mechanism.
But easy. It's easy to do. We can do it.
You've worked with President Tinubu before.
Well, I have.
Do you think that political sagacity can be so calm to absorb this kind of advisory that you this trajectory that you're talking about?
The strength I know about him 26 odd years ago, 25, 24 odd years ago, is that effervescent mind and ability to engage, roll the sleeve, let there be argument and disputations. Let us talk. Whatever it takes to reach consensus will wear. But over the years, as expected, he wasn't just a governor over the years. He became a former governor, became a leader of a political force in the Southwest, a member of the National Political Leading Group, helped to facilitate the president coming to power. Now he's the president himself. A lot happens. The human, can they be transformed into something beyond the human? That means, I don't know, whether it's essential that he still have the same passion for debate, for contestation of ideas as he used to have. He should have it now.
And you think this antidote will work?
If he works reasonably, the economic dimension is going to flow with it.
All right.
If it doesn't work, the country is in serious trouble, in dire straits.
Professor Odenta, thank you so much indeed. We are at a crossroad. We need a direction, and we need a leader that will be firm enough. And I dare say, anyone that makes those tough decisions and get Nigeria working will be a legend, a hero that will never be forgotten. Absolutely. But thank you so much for your insight.
It's a pleasure, Ishio.
We take another break, everyone. But when we come back, we look at the mess that we have found ourselves in this oil and gas sector. A lot of people will say it is needless. The controversy, the issues of the quota to give to refineries, and why we have this long queue. An expert in that sector will be talking to me tonight after this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's now focus our attention on the nation's economic mainstay, which is oil and gas. Of course, we know what has happened over the last few weeks, the controversy, the Dangote controversy, the quota issue. And of course, if you go outside of your home, you see the long queues that we see at filling station in most part of the country. I'm being joined by Dan Kunle, who is an energy financial expert and a former technical advisor to a former Minister of Petroleum. Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Kunle, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Okembalwe. It's a great pleasure to be here. Great privilege.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
This is your hot seat. Yeah.
I'm wondering, you are the expert here. Does it make sense that we're having queues at the filling station? What exactly could be the cause?
Thank you very much, Sim. This is the result of the past wrongs we have been accumulating. 7 years ago, if you remember very well, that I wrote a memo, an open memo, when the then Minister of Petroleum, Mr. Kachuku, said that he was going to resign. 2017, I wrote a memo, open memo. If you Google it, he said he was going to resign in 2019 if Nigeria still continued to import petroleum products, because he was so sure that the refineries will be fixed, the government-owned refinery will be fixed. But here we are. We have been following queues far back, 30 years now. For the last 30 years, we have been having queue, which means something is fundamentally wrong. And what is wrong is that we lack internal capacity to manage anything we have. That is just the problem we are having. So we have the petroleum reserve, we have gas, we have oil reserve in large volume, very good compared to our population, very good. We are very endowed.
We can be sufficient.
Very sufficient.
I mean, there are those who believe that, okay, yeah, if Nigeria could not manage its refineries, 4 of them, and over the years, the first one came, we thought that it wasn't sufficient. We built the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. And we thought with those 4 refineries, we should have some sufficiency and also even sell to other countries the refined product. But for several years, we've been doing turnaround maintenance of these 4 refineries. And we came with Dangote Refinery. Oh, we thought that is a miracle from the private sector, one of the biggest that we've seen in the industry. Well, it doesn't look like the Dangote Refinery, which from the private sector, is going to fix anything. In fact, it's also having its own problems.
No. Look, Sheung, since independence in 1960, Dangote Refinery is the first mega industrial project that is putting us on the status of economic sovereignty. Our political sovereignty and economic sovereignty since 1960 has never been as concretized as the completion of Dangote Refinery. It's the most significant achievement since 1960.
Really?
Yeah. I will prove it. Even not Ajaokuta is a child's play. Ajaokuta is a child's play.
Ajaokuta never rose up
LLNG is just a unit of Dangote Refinery. LLNG in Bonny.
So that's how
it's just
big
a
Dangote
unit.
is.
Yes, exactly. So this is the only man that is emancipating us economically. And I will give you the entire value chain of that refinery. The value chain of that refinery, from the cracking unit of crude to the petrochemical unit to all the byproducts. Nigeria, for the first time, we are going to have our economic sovereignty.
If it works well.
It has to work.
But Dangote,
it must work.
Can Dangote Refinery, products refined from Dangote Refinery, can it sufficiently feed Nigeria for all its finished product needs?
Yes, for now. At this stage of our development and the population growth, yes. Because the 4 government-owned refineries combined, the small one in Port Harcourt built in 1965, the bigger one built in 1988, and the Warri Refinery built in 1978, Kaduna 1980, combined will not give Nigeria more than maybe 20 million liters per day of petrol. So that is the 4 combined. And today Nigeria is consuming maybe about 40 million. Dangote Refinery alone will do about 50 million liters of petrol per day. So that means he's going to secure this country. And because the rate at which electric vehicle is coming, the energy balance will just make us to succeed in transiting to electricity. What we get from Dangote Refinery in the next 5 to 10 years will help us to transit to electricity.
But if this is the case, I mean, you are the expert here, and there are a whole lot of arguments about the Dangote Refinery, the status, what the quota in which it will get. Our understanding that about 350 or 450 barrel is what can be given by the NNPC to Dangote. Is that right?
Yeah. So you see, whatever volume or quantity they want to give, look, NNPC that is supposed to give it, are you sure they even have the capacity to give? NNPC does not produce petroleum crude oil. NNPC just manages documents for us. It's a clerical entity. That whole place is just a bureaucratic clerical entity. They don't produce. They have 60% in some of these assets. They have 55% in some of these assets. But they produce nothing. Show me one rig they have. They don't, even the GMD himself, how many times have he been to the rigs? He's a politician now. He just go about following politicians. It's not a technocrat
you don't think
anymore.
He's doing
so
a good
they
job?
cannot give.
You don't think
they cannot
Mele
give what
Kyari
they
is
don't
doing
have.
a good job?
Which good job is he doing?
No, but
because we pretend in this country we don't say the truth. Which good job is
the
Mele
man has gotten a second?
His team has failed the country.
How do you mean?
His team has failed the country.
That would be unfair if you cannot substantiate what you mean by that.
What can I not substantiate? For the last 10 years, have you hit 2 million barrels per day with your reserve?
Is it Mele Kyari's fault? Is it Mele Kyari's fault?
It's the system. If you are the head, you resign. If it is not working, you resign. In a civilized society with this level of outcry, the voice of man is the voice of God. You will resign. You will resign. In fact, he is embarrassing the president. He cannot give 300,000 or 400,000 to Dangote. Where will he get it?
Really?
Unless he moves
out of the 1 million,
unless,
1.1
unless the president directs Mele to release all the assets he's sitting on and allow private investors to enter it and look for money and produce and sweat those assets. This guy is sitting on empire.
Is Mele Kyari the problem of
For me, bad leadership is a problem for the country and for NNPC.
But his principal, the man that appointed
NNPC
him, don't think that Mele Kyari does a bad job.
Because he's being fed with lies. People who hold public offices lie to be there. To sustain their offices.
I will respect your knowledge about the industry.
I have reasonable knowledge to.
But I'm worried about your criticism of Mele Kyari because there are those who believe that
it's not about him. It's not about him as a person. Whoever is there that is failing, it's like having a team. If you have a team to face Arsenal or Man U, and the team is not winning in 10 years, won't you change the team? Will you retain them if you are the manager? The president, our president, is being misled. Is being fed with rumors. President Tinubu should wear his crystal glasses, and look properly.
But the president is the minister of petroleum resources.
Is it not the information they give him he works on? I'm telling you, look, there are assets that this guy is sitting on that can bring out crude.
What kind of assets?
I mean, acreages that will bring out, if you open them up and free the environment, you bring resources out now that will feed Dangote Refinery. This country can produce 3 million barrels per day.
So we are producing less than half of
How
our
can
capacity.
we be doing 1.3, 1.4? Even if you add the condensate, 1.6, as the president said.
How
do we
even produce 2.5, not talk of 3 million a year?
We can get to 2.5 if you free the system. You know the adage that says, somebody, I think it was Malam Nasir El-Rufai or the Emir of Kano, Sanusi, says that if you don't kill NNPC, NNPC will kill Nigeria. 60% of the macroeconomic problem of Nigeria is NNPC. I say it.
How do you then deal with that? It has been privatized.
We wanted to privatize this when I was in BP. The same monster you build today, they were the one against it. You see, the commanding height, the commanding era that's supposed to have given way, relaunched itself back between 2007 when Obasanjo left office and now. The commanding height is the one fighting Dangote now.
And who are these commanding heights?
The commanding height is the system that believe that the state enterprise must be controlled by government.
What do they get from
because
that?
They are rentiers. It's rentier. What do they get? It's rentier. Okay, if the 4 refinery combined will not do more than 20 million liters, and one single person who was to buy Porako Refinery and Kaduna and his group that time were to upgrade the 2 refinery, those refineries were taken away from them in 2007. And then the man said, look, by the grace of God, inshallah, I will build my own refinery in this country. So a private man decided to sacrifice everything in his life to build a refinery like this. But now the capacity is more than the combined that of government. And the same NNPC now, the monster we built. You and me, all of us build the monster called NNPC. Because we are hailing them. We give them National Merit Award after destroying our assets.
But
we still give them National Merit Award.
What about those who believe that Dangote is much of a monopolist? And in a capitalist environment, it is not competitive to have a monopolist.
So it's a very wrong narrative. Please go and check the real meaning in economics of monopoly, duopoly, oligopoly. Go and check it very well. There are 4 government-owned refineries, and you build one as an individual. So how have you become a monopoly?
Dangote Refinery, we have litany of private refineries.
Exactly. So how has he become a monopolist?
But I mean,
because he scale up. Look, let me give you small history. When Lafarge was running Ewekoro and Sagam, they were the 2 cement factories in Nigeria. Then followed by Ashaka Cement, then followed by Benue Cement, then Northern Cement in Sokoto. All these were government shareholders. Government had share, Odua has share in Lafarge. Okay, Dangote came in and said, why should Nigeria be importing cement? Dangote built his cement factory in Obajana. And then he acquired Benue Cement. Today, see what he has scaled to. Before, saying we had 4 major banks in Nigeria. All government had share. We privatized the shares. Today, how many banks are in Nigeria? Because we issue licenses. So why should government sit on the asset of the country and we are in poverty? Look, we have land, but you don't grow rice. You are importing rice.
I don't know
how we have good land. We have oil. We have gas.
Our conversation was supposed to be the fuel queues and how we got out. I mean, for some reason, emotional reason, we got into Dangote Refinery matter, which was not supposed to be our focus. But anyway, now that we are in it, why the controversy so much about Dangote Refinery? If it's going to change the scheme of things for us in the oil and gas sector, who are these people? We need to start naming to shame people. Who are these people that are fighting Dangote?
As long as the monster is still the one importing petroleum products and allocating it through PFI, pro forma invoice on weekly basis, as long as it's still this this monster doing it, we will continue to have queue. Because they manage inefficiency in NNPC. We pay them. Do you know how much they get per month? So why will there be no queue? Okay, now there's queue everywhere. They still get fat salaries. Is that not enough? That has qualified them to be sacked. Because they are the sole importer of PMS.
But it's a private company now.
It's not yet private. Who are the shareholders? Who governs the governor? Who governs the governor?
So
who are the shareholders? Who are the shareholders?
So it's shrouded in fraud.
No, it's not shrouded in fraud. But let's dissect it. I will give you. Who governs the governor? Who owns NNPC? Minister of Petroleum, 50%. Minister of Finance, 50%. Okay? So who owns Minister of Finance and Minister of Petroleum? You and me. You have one share, I have one share. 210 million people, one share. So we own it. Who is to govern NNPC? Through the president. President is the chairman because he's the Minister of Petroleum.
The
so
National Assembly is
the one representing your share, my share. So they are the one that's supposed to query.
The National Assembly started an investigation on the oil and gas sector and the alleged sabotage of the sector of the nation. Where do you think the solution is? If President Tinubu is watching right now, what do you think he should be doing urgently?
Well, if our President Tinubu, I will dissolve NNPC board, and I will sack the entire management.
For what reason?
For inefficiency, for gross inefficiency. Gross inefficiency. I repeat, gross inefficiency and mismanagement of resources. I saw they were in National Assembly. Did our senators and the legislators, they are not strong because some of them, I don't understand. They are not strong. They are the one representing your share, my share. They are the one in the AGM, annual general meeting. They are the one that's supposed to question. That's who governs the governor.
But Mr. Milikari at that presentation said they are not thieves, they are not rogues, they are not criminals, but that he is willing to bail the cat.
You and myself, only President Tinubu has bailed the cat in this country by removing subsidy and the draft foreign exchange system we were running. He's the only one. Obasanjo attempted it, Yaradua reversed it. He's the only one. Jonathan attempted it in 2012. Politically, Fayemi said that they work against it. Former Governor Fayemi said so. He said we play politics with it. So they reverse it. But President Tinubu have done it now. So all of us, professionals, elites, we must support President Tinubu to carry along with the policy, to see to the logical end, because that is the only way to liberate this economy. So if Mele say he's honest, everybody will say he's honest. But what under you? What is going on under you? He can be the most honest, he can even be an angel. But what is happening under him? Gross inefficiency is happening under him. So you cannot tell that story to some of us. We can't buy it.
And you think that that's the way, that's the only solution?
Yeah, and I have right to talk. Every Nigerian have right to talk. Thank you for giving me the privilege to talk here. We must support, we must encourage President Tinubu as a private sector driven person to support Aliko Dangote Refinery to succeed. This is the time we're at a crossroad. There is a project.
Is there still a major threat on Aliko Dangote Refinery not working?
I don't see any technical threat more than the issue of supply. Guaranteed supply of crude.
Has it been there now? Are there supply to Dangote now?
No, you know it's difficult for NNPC. Even if NNPC tell you they will give you 450,000 barrels per day. My brother, where will they get it? This is what I'm saying. You can't give what you don't
So there's still problem.
Yeah, there's a problem because the traders who have already booked our crude offtakes, they will want a premium on it because they also have commitment somewhere.
All right.
I hope you get the message.
Engineer Daniel Dayo Kunle.
You have given me engineer now. I'm just Dandi Kunle.
Dandi Kunle. Yeah, he's an energy financial expert and a former technical advisor to a former Minister of Petroleum Resources. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much for this privilege. We follow up again.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
So just before we go, everyone, let me remind you about our top story and how the Ogun State government has reacted. A portion of what the Ogun State government said earlier today in defense of what happened with the Chinese the Chinese company. And it says, shockingly, it also appears to have misled, referring to the Chinese company, the Judicial Court of Paris as to the use and nature of the asset it seeks to attach and not made full disclosure to the court as required by law. The Ogun State government said it's committed to settlement, but again, it will not allow this kind of subterfuge, just like we saw in the P&ID case. And that's how we draw the curtains tonight on the program. Many thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm Sean Akimale. I'll see you next time. God bless Nigeria.